Do you want to elaborate a bit on the challenges an innovator or a disruptor they're facing at the first beginning phase of even introducing a product to the market or the service to the market or a new business model in the market?
Let me go back to the iPhone example. The iPhone example was characterized, and I talk about this in the beginning of my book, and it's not the first time I talk about the iPhone, because the iPhone was mischaracterized as what it meant to society and culture and technology by people that looked at it and actually proclaimed it as a failure before it had a chance to actually even be shown to the public, and they declared very bluntly the iPhone will fail and fail badly. If you Google the iPhone will fail and fail badly, you'll get a lot of articles on why the iPhone will fail. And one of the reasons it was supposed to fail was because Apple was not a company that understood the phone market, which is the first misunderstanding of the iPhone. The iPhone is a computer. The iPhone succeeded because Apple was not in the phone business. And that's the interesting thing. Same thing with the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch succeeds because Apple is not in the watch business, because it's in the mobile computing business. That's what the watch is. If you look at people mischaracterizing what the innovation was in Apple, in the Apple iPhone, they mischaracterized the power of technology to become culture. And in the moment in which you don't understand that effectively culture is a result of technology, you tend to downplay the role of technology. And most people do this. Most people are afraid of technology and they downplay the role technology plays in the creation of culture, as if culture is the product of something else. As if, and in effect, if you look at culture, culture is always exactly the product of the available tools at the moment, which right now is artificial intelligence and technologies. And it's actually our curiosity to understand how far can we push the tool and the technology to create culture. And culture creates civilization, and civilization creates history, and so forth. If I look at the mischaracterization of disruptors and disruption, people miss the impact of a tool, and the impact of a tool that is capable of creating its own market. In other words, a tool that essentially says, I will define what I am. I will define this new market space. And innovation organizations make the mistake of saying, I'm not going to support this product or endeavor with funding because the product is not needed, because the product has no market. Well, a product with no market is exactly the product you need to support, because it means it's new. And what I learned in my life in Silicon Valley in the early ages of computers in 1982, 83, when I designed one of the first portable computers, the Pied Piper communicator, if anybody's interested in Googling, the benchmark for innovation to me in that moment was, it has no market, it has no user base, that's awesome. And that was the benchmark of all the innovations that created Silicon Valley. They had no market, they had no user base, they had no need defined by any marketing entity, and that's why they were awesome.